Amit, there's also a big discussion, and Mr. Singh also pointed out that OMC stocks are doing fairly well, and that's on the back of correction in oil prices, which have, by the way, corrected by about $15-16 or 15% from their recent high of about $95 or so. What's the overall story playing out? Could you explain to us?
Okay, this is quite a curious case with two kinds of industries going the opposite directions. I'll give a little background. The oil prices, they rose slightly in the Asian trade on Friday as traders remained on the edge over the OPEC plus meeting that, as you mentioned earlier, that was delayed that has been delayed from November 26th to November 30th. And there was expectation of price cuts, production cuts, but additional production cuts by the cartel. These production cuts primarily have been led by two countries, Saudi Arabia and Russia.
So currently they are at 1.3 million barrels cut, and they were going to perhaps go for
Those
another
expectations, but the reports are that African countries, specifically Angola and Nigeria, wanted an increase in production. So that is the disagreement.
So
that is why there is a delay in this meeting. But even the production cuts that Russia and Saudi Arabia have effected over the last 1 year, they have given only a fleeting support to prices because the markets are on jitters, on an edge because of the worsening geopolitical situations and the demand situations. Brent futures yesterday, as of yesterday, rose 0.3%, very marginally, to $81.6 per barrel. Western Texas Intermediate also rose 0.4%, little bit more, to 79.69% a barrel. Now I'll come to the oil impact to Indian companies. We'll look at the downstream companies, upstream companies first. Bar Reliance Industries, which has only one part of their operations is into exploration. There is one odd one out, the Terzo in Comodo, if I may call it, that is ONGC, which is up 3.5%. Oil India, British Petroleum are both down. So upstream companies, all in all, they are basically down.
So upstream companies are the companies which are in the exploration of business.
That's why I put Reliance out, because they're just one part of it and they're a very small portion of it.
So correction in crude prices will perhaps, impact their profit margins, since their byproduct or their produce is, oil essentially.
It's linked to production, and if there is a production cut, then it'll affect them on the down. So, but for ONGC, which I said is a sort of a Terzo in Comodo, other stocks are down. Now we come to downstream companies. These are 1 month returns. So, like our earlier guest mentioned, that Bharat Petroleum is a little down, but on 1 month, all the three companies have given quite a bit of returns. 21% for Bharat Petroleum, 32.6% for Hindustan Petroleum, and Indian Oil Corporation 18.5%. So downstream companies are giving good returns. Upstream companies are a little bit on an edge, in jitters, not knowing what to expect from the OPEC plus meeting, which is going to happen. Maybe there is no production cut. Maybe.
But I mean, the kind of returns we are seeing, Amit, clearly, they have benefited from a decline in oil prices, especially the downstream companies. The movement has been pretty similar. Like the Brent crude prices have corrected by about 15 to 20% in the past month, and these companies are, have risen by about the stocks have risen by about 20 to 30% or so.
So there is optimism.
And also, I think they are turning profitable on a year-on-year basis because of the reduction in windfall taxes. That's also perhaps boding well for them.
That's also, and overall the demand has gone up. There is no question, and especially in India, the demand has gone up, shot up quite a bit, and we know from the results of all the automobile and industrial companies that we keep talking about. I have a question for our next guest. If we can, Dr. Bathini. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Amit. Good morning, Suyash.
We were talking about oil now. My question to you is it a good time for investors to look towards upstream companies which are down right now, but should we expect them to go up so they can book profits on those companies? And is it a good time still to look at downstream companies which are already on a high over the last month?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Amit. Okay, India, all the upstream companies are public sector undertakings by and large. Oil India and ONGC, these are the names. By and large, they are the public sector undertakings. And country like India at this point of time, okay, my favorites will be the downstream companies, the oil marketing companies, than the companies which are in the oil exploration activities concerned in India. So on a medium to short-term basis, probably one can look at downstream, but upstream companies, the exploration companies. Whereas on a longer-term basis, I would be more keen and interested because of their dividend yields, and also the oil marketing companies, as given the kind of the bearishness what we can expect in the global crude oil prices. We can be with the downstream oil marketing companies because of the relative valuations are concerned. Suyash, many times we discussed on your show when the oil was trending at $100 per barrel. We kept on discussing the oil, even though there are worries, there are concerns rising in the Middle East. Despite of these all these negative news, uh, uh, we, uh, uh, we acknowledge that oil prices are peaked out, and we can expect in further coming months, oil prices are expected to come down. That's what we are witnessing right now. As a point of matter, even though OPEC countries are planning to cut their output, oil production, whereas right now US has emerged as one of the highest quantum of oil producer. So US production has been going up. This is the reason we could able to see the downtrend in oil prices at this point of time. Despite of the Saudi, the other countries are cutting their oil production, but US oil production has been coming into the streamline.
Okay.
And India also one of the key importer of US oil right now. Of course, the Russian oil also coming. That's the key portion, but US oil also coming into the markets.